Hello and welcome to
Absolute Game Off.
Nerd!
You have your non-geek, non-nerd hosts, JP and Rohan. And today we have special guests. We have Mike and Mindy Wheeler, the co-creators of my favorite comic book, Boobs. So, Rohan, go ahead and give a proper introduction, sir.
Well, you don't want to sell them short. They're the creators.
I know.
of
There's
Boobs,
many more. That's why you're here.
And Comic Illustrated, which is an indie magazine that we're going to talk about, of course. And then they were telling us about their latest publication coming out called Trip Story. We're going to hear all about that. But first off, Mike, Mindy, how are you doing? Say hi. How's it going?
Hey, what's up? Doing good.
Awesome. Well, we always kind of start off with the very same question. You guys are comic creators. Therefore, at some point, you guys started a love of comic books. So tell us, each of you, what was your kind of origin into comic books?
Mike, you take the lead on that one.
I was about 13, 14 years old and found my first comic shop, walked into it, and picked up a copy of, I believe it was Witchblade, was my first foray into comics, circa 1992-ish.
Yeah.
So, I kind of got hooked on the art style, the Michael Turner stuff. I started following Silvestri after he, kind of got into learning how to do a lot of the Michael Turner-esque style too, and just the whole overall image scene was pretty cool, when we were first starting out, and started collecting and been in it, around it ever since. And just one day, just go ahead.
I was gonna say, you've never taken a break away from comics. You kind of stuck with it since '92 then?
Well, collecting and being involved with the creators, I don't think I've ever taken a break from it. I didn't actually write my first comic book until just a few years ago.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Awesome. Mindy, what about you?
Well, I grew up in a slightly different world. And I picked up a couple comics, but it wasn't anything anybody probably heard of. And then my first kind of title, I guess, that really drew me in was Spawn.
I see the poster in the back right there.
Yes. That's a giant window painting.
Okay.
That was fun. Yeah, I love the McFarlane style. And then I had a really busy, difficult sort of life, so I didn't really do much with that interest. But I've always drawn since I was, as long as I can remember. I actually wanted to be a film director, so the combination of that visual storytelling plus drawing is the perfect combination for me, where I feel really at home doing that and enjoy it a lot. And then I met Mike, and before we got married, he took me to a Comic-Con, and my head just exploded with the possibilities that I was already doing graphic design and stuff like that. And at that point, my whole life just shifted. That was about 10 years ago. And then I started drawing again. And now here we are. So he introduced me to everything pretty much.
Right on. Mindy, for people that like to draw, I kind of think I like to ask, so when I was a kid, I could look at something and I could draw it fairly well, right? But if I'm creating out of my own head, we're talking very minimal, beyond stick figure kind of range here. Are you someone, when you first started, you can just, you can see it in your head and then you would draw it, or would you have to look at something and draw, and that kind of then develop the skills? How did that come about?
That's a cool question, because I always describe it as being two different skills. I think you're really right on that. And I could do both. Both take different practice, levels, and I think they come from the same place, even though they feel very disconnected, and it's about connecting them. But I could always draw what I see. I could always do that since I was little. That's how I started drawing. And then I just drew from my imagination since, back and forth, but it is more difficult, I'd say. More difficult to draw from your imagination. So I think every artist, even I've known Harley Quinn artists and stuff like that still draw, from references from time to time. It's a crutch, but it also is how you learn.
Mhm.
Because once you log all those shapes, then your imagination helps you spit it out. So I think every artist has to start from images. And then over the past few years, I've been trying to really wean myself off, but sometimes I'll go back and do an intense study where I'll sketch from references. So both. Yeah, both.
And
I
have you
think it's
done
really one skill.
Have you done any like formal school, we'll say, training on drawing, or did you? Oh, yeah. So what have you done?
Yeah, well, I went to a weird liberal arts charter school for high school, for a few years, and it was all arts, 100% arts, 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 arts. And my parents also recognized that I had a skill when I was fairly young, so they put me in art classes when I was like 5 and 6. I did some art classes then, so I've always had some formal training.
Got it. Got it. Mike, what about you? Like in terms of writing, were you did you enjoy writing as a child? Did you take writing classes? Kind of how did that all start?
Well, I was an English major when I was in college, and I actually switched my major over to business and ended up getting a degree in management information systems. But for the longest time, I was going to be a writer, like my best friend, who I kind of went to college with and grew up with. His name's Neil Strauss. He wrote for the Rolling Stones and did a lot of interviews with a bunch of metal bands and stuff. So we kind of hung around San Diego, LA.
Is the movie Almost Famous about your friend?
Is what?
Is the movie Almost Famous about your friend?
No, not quite. But if you have ever read the book The Game, he wrote that.
Okay.
It's like a pickup artist book. It's kind of interesting.
Okay. Okay.
And yeah, so I mean, I kind of wanted to be a writer. That was my whole gig, and I just switched it up. And you know, I took creative writing classes, and I had to turn in 20-page short stories at the start of every class. You know, it was a whole ordeal. And I was like, man, nobody makes money in writing, you know. So I switched it to business, just at a drop of a hat, and went a different route. But you know, it's funny how you always come back to the stuff that you enjoy doing. You know,
Totally.
it's interesting how that works.
Totally. And you know, Mindy, you had briefly said you guys met, then went to a con. I was hoping to like envision a story of like you were at a comic book store and you both reached for the same comic and pulled, and then like, you know, there was some event of that. How did you? Yeah, how did you guys meet? Tell us about that real quick, since it's relevant here.
We met at a bar in Chandler, Arizona, and she was hot as hell.
Fridays.
And I was like, hey, baby, come here. Look at this. And I was developing an app on my phone at the time. Yeah, I can't remember who it was for, but it was for one of my clients. And it was just a mobile app, and I was showing her the app and stuff. And
you know, when JP and I were, I was gonna say, JP and I.
Go ahead. Yeah. It worked.
I was just gonna say, like, you know, from back in the day when JP and I were in college, like the line, like, hey, do you want to come see my fish tank? For you is just, you want to see this phone app I'm making?
Yeah, it was kind of like that. But yeah, I mean, you know, I was with a group of like 6 guys, and I was the only one with balls enough to go talk to her. So I mean,
there you go.
Did that particular approach make it into your buddy's book?
Oh no! This was years after he released the game.
Oh, so you learned from him, and then you're a student.
I'm in the book. I'm in that book. He talks about some stuff that we used to go out and do and stuff, and all of us.
Funny enough, about 2 years before I met him, I had read the game a little bit, and my friend and I had become aware of it, and we were like, these guys are doing these things to us, and we know what you're up to. So it was really funny that he comes in and he's like, oh yeah, that was
I was in college in the 90s, and the movie we had was Swingers. That's how we learned how the game at that point, but we didn't have a book, so we watched Swingers.
Well, I think it's funny. I don't know if you guys have any of you guys watched this is obviously a little bit off topic here, but watch the TV show The Wire. It's on HBO. It's fantastic. Anyways, there's these 2 cop buddies, and throughout the show, when they go out the bars, they're like, okay, it's my turn this time. Let's run, 62. And they have like these plays that they run. And so it's very, very kind of on par with this, or kind of similar to like Wedding Crashes, when they have like rule 72, always be aware,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So you guys met, and you both had a love for comics at the time, or I know, Mindy, you said he took you to your first comic, but you were kind of already
Well, see, when I was when I went to Arizona and kind of set up shop there again, before I left, I got rid of pretty much every comic book that I ever had. I traded my entire collection in for like one book, right? Because I didn't want to carry all this crap around me across like multiple states. And it was a Walking Dead book. I can't remember which one, but I think it was Comixology variant. And I traded basically all my stuff in for that, and it was CGC'd and everything. And we needed some money for something. I think it was her car or something. And I was like, well,
car repair.
Yeah, I was like, her car went out and she needed a new car or something. And I was like, well, shit, I can get you money. Like, we'll just go to the show. I'll have Robert Kirkman sign this book and we'll flip it. And she's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, dude, like, we'll just take it to Robert. He'll sign this shit. We'll put it up CGC and we'll fucking sell it on eBay and we'll make like a quick couple grand. And she's like, no, you can't do that. There's no way. And I was like, yeah, watch me. And yeah,
we had been together. I didn't even know he had this comic book. It was we were already living together. No, I had no idea he collected, and he had no idea that I drew because I took a few years off, and so it just it came about.
Yeah, I had no idea she drew or anything. She was just a hot ass girl in a bar.
Oh, that works.
That's what it was.
It was Mark Bagley.
There's layers there.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, shit, you can draw? Well, fuck."
Yeah, Mark Bagley was sitting there drawing, and you were like, look, and so I talked to Mark Bagley, and he inspired me to really get into it. That was cool. And I mean, I went to the show, and there were people with drawings of Pikachu, and I was talking to them. They're like, "Oh yeah, I took an airplane from Minnesota to get here," and I was like, "Really? You're making money traveling, going to shows, selling your art? Are you serious?" This was really a big deal for me.
It blew her mind that people could actually make a living doing this.
So from that moment on, you jumped in head first.
She was hooked.
Yep. As I can draw Pikachu, I was like, I can draw Pikachu. I want to draw Pikachu right now. So yep.
Yeah. So then what did you start? Was it Pikachu that you started with, or what did you start drawing at that time?
No, the first drawing back after like 7 years was Deadpool. And then it was a really weird, the next couple of years were weird because the industry was going through a lot of weird things. And people weren't necessarily, I found, to be very helpful. So I tried a lot of different techniques, some things that I used in art school. And I started a couple of gigs as a colorist for other people. But I was just kind of like winging it to the best of my ability of just drawing whatever I could think of. And I started noticing people drawing more fan art. So then I would draw a Batman and stuff like that, trying to integrate and get jobs, ask for jobs. So it was really kind of hit and miss. The whole industry was not very structured, but
what
for
year
a few
are we
years,
talking about roughly here at this time?
2014 was when I had my first table with art on it.
Got it.
With just a couple pieces, maybe 2 or 3 pieces.
How'd that first show go?
It went well. We were helping another comic shop that we used to frequent that he took me to locally with their stuff too. And so it was kind of a side thing. And I got a couple commissions and I was really nervous. And, looking back, they probably weren't that great, but I tried. And it wasn't terrible either, but it was a rough curve learning how to draw again after I had put it down for many years. And I think I started to pick it up, within a few months. And then with a few months later, we were back at a show again. And then it became a full-time thing.
If I had to go back and do it over again too, I wouldn't do it the same way we did it this time. I would have started out creating our own content like almost immediately. Because that's where everything is. Like, I mean, everybody always tries to just, draw the best Batman or draw the best Deadpool. And dude, like, really no one cares. I mean, no one cares. And then the other artists, they look down on you because you're just basically copying other people's shit. Mm-hmm. And they're like, hey, I get paid to draw Deadpool. I work for Marvel. You don't impress me. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
if we were to take all that time, rewind history, and just start putting out content, then we would have been so far ahead. And I encourage everyone to do that. Like, don't waste your time on fan art. Don't waste your time doing stuff everybody else is already doing. Make your own content. Put something out there. It doesn't matter what it is.
So then how did it start that you two were like, you know what, we should just do this on our own? Like, what was the moment that clicked?
Oh, well, see, that's controversial. I'll tell you the story if you want to hear it.
We have the exclusive here.
Yeah.
Well,
we have to go backwards.
We were coming out with this website trying to help everybody. It was called Indie Crowdfund, and it was kind of like, how Fund My Comic, Luke Stone's doing that shit right now. He did me a great service by taking that shit off my plate. But we were starting up this website, trying to build up the indie community, saying, hey, look, let's do an alternative to Kickstarter and Indiegogo. Let's do something that's just for us, that's just for the community. And come to find out, all the creators, they hate retailers. We didn't know this at the time.
We were involving retailers. That's the part you missed. The website was...
It was to bring the retailers in on the indie comic scene. And there was a guy, we were trying to get him to list his books. And he came out with this, he publishes this book called Niobe, right? We'll just say his name, Larry Higgins. I don't care. Now, he comes out and he says, oh, well, I don't want to put my books on your site because of this, and this, and I don't trust you and all this crap. And I was like, dude, like, you have to do something to make yourself relevant. And getting 200 backers on Kickstarter is not going to put yourself out there. You got to think, Batman sells 15,000 copies, right? Any given month. Green Lantern sells 5 to 10,000 any given month. And you're going out there, you're putting your stuff on Kickstarter, you're getting 200 to 400 backers. That's cute, but it's not going to do you any good. You need distribution. You need someone out there to put your stuff in the hands of people who are in the shops who will read your content. So you can get a bit of readership, you can get your product out there, and people know who you are. Well, he didn't like that. And I was like, dude, I could make a book called Boobs and outsell your dumbass. Word for word. That's what I said.
Yeah. And then we did that.
And then you did it.
I came out with a book called Boobs, and I've outsold him back to back on 2 campaigns now.
What was the name of his book? Well, his book was called Cats. You guys did Boobs, and one did better than the other one?
His book is called Niobe. It's about the chicken pigtails, and it's not very good. But
and there's more to that story a little bit too, because so in between A and B of coming out with Boobs, and then way back, it's been 10 years almost from where we just, me at a table in 2014 with a couple pieces. When I had mentioned how rocky the industry was, that whole length of time, indie crowdfund was in 2020 when everybody was at home anyways, right? So we were all just online. It was the industry, like Marvel canceled at San Diego. The rates had dropped for the Marvel and artists. Things were outsourced. I had a portfolio review with Marvel, and then I got put in this like never-ending interview cycle, and things were so weird. And it was also very political. 2016 happened, and then like the industry like split. Very tribal, lot of drama, and so it was almost impossible to figure out how to navigate those really hot waters. And we also got trolled, from some toxic creators, and there was like battles, and it was a lot. So Boobs pulls from our personal experiences of this really wretched, like ridiculous industry trying to make it, and so it's like Mike had said before.
It's funny because it also makes fun of like specific creators in the industry. Like you open up the book and you start flipping through the pages and you're like, I know that guy. Like you've done the con circuit. Like you could pick these people out that we're making fun of.
In general and specifically, it's a parody satire. It's meant to poke fun at everyone and everything.
Well, so tell us, and what is the general kind of plot synopsis or storyline that Boobs is?
Well,
You want-
she is a cosplayer, and she is very naive, very new to the cosplaying scene, and she has a sidekick, you would say, called Sumchai, and he is this Asian, raunchy kind of older guy who starts to take her under his wing and show her the con circuit and expose her to the people in the industry. And she navigates the waters the best she can, and she is confronted in the first issue with her main arch nemesis, Gaylord von Schlauber, who, if you look at the initials GVS, it's fantastic. I'm sure you can come up with the other initials of who it represents. And
No,
it's,
Sunshine we made younger. He's not older
yeah,
anymore. We made them the same age. Sunshine is based on Mike's old
well,
friend.
he's a little older. He's a little,
A little older.
yeah.
Yeah. So
But there's a lot of cool things in the book, and it talks about a lot of backstory that if you're in the industry, if you're not in the industry, you don't really know. So it's good on both levels. If you're just like your first time reader and you just want some entertainment, it's fun and it's entertaining, but it's also ha 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 ha. I know who they're talking about if you kind of get the inside scoop.
well, it's a
Right.
double entendre too, because boobs also means fool.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Oh, okay.
It's a slang. So
Yes.
it's boobs because it's her, and she's very attractive and she goes around being a cosplayer, but it's also boobs and it's meant to be really ridiculous, and everyone is really ridiculous in a world that kind of doesn't make sense. Because sometimes I think we all feel that way a little bit in today's world. So it's funny. It's a lot of ridiculousness.
So where does how do you even like publish? Like, are you guys self-published? Do you have a publisher? Did you have to find a publisher? And then once you did, where do people buy this book? Like, is it via website? Is it at comic book stores? Tell me about that.
We're self-published. So we made Divinity Comics is our publishing company that we do it under. And this was 2020 when we conceived the idea, and we were doing it as a fundraiser basically to raise money for the book for indie crowdfund. And then I had a baby, so that kind of threw things off. And at that point I transformed really from cover artist and fan artist to full sequential artist, and that was a very difficult transition. So it wasn't until 2 years later when the book was totally finished, and then we revamped it and I took it to Kickstarter. And then we made our publishing company, Divinity Comics, to be able to do that and distribute that. And now we're on issue 2. We're about to start fulfilling issue 2. I should get the physical proofs in tomorrow. And both campaigns have done really well. And I think it's kind of this climactic point where everybody's been who's been following our work for 10 years, finally like sees us really, it's our passions come to fruition in an actual product that's ours. So we've had a lot of support, and now we are looking at publishing other titles. We have other books coming out, and now here we are. So it's all online only, though. Sorry, online only right now.
Got it. And then is it meant to be an ongoing story, a limited series? Like, what does the future of this specific one look like?
Future of what? Of Boobs?
Yes.
Boobs, it's definitely an ongoing story. We're going to carry it out for as long as possible. And I mean, it's not like we have any suffrage in content. I mean, just look at all of the people in the industry and the dumb shit that they do all the time.
Oh, yeah.
It's like they basically write this book for us. It's fantastic. From scrubbing napkins to snorting coke, and I mean, there's just tons of shit to make fun of.
There is lots. Do you guys like South Park?
Of course.
Yes.
Okay, that's also the same genre as our book.
Yeah,
so,
it's pretty much it's like South Park of comic books.
And I'm just in general, I'm of the opinion that we can make fun of anything and like laugh about it. Like, so yeah, I like it. I like that. So you were saying you have other books we've talked. So you have the Comic Illustrated, which is the indie magazine. Talk about that, and then talk about Trip Story.
Cool. Yeah, well,
you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I'll go with Comics Illustrated first. I'm the editor-in-chief of the magazine. Mindy, she does all the design, layouts, and she does editing as well. And she also does content curation and all kinds of stuff. She basically does it all. We also have Piper Niven, who is a staff writer for us. She does a lot of the indie news, and all the articles and stuff are pretty much written by the people that are doing, or that the articles are about. We have different sections of the magazine that are basically like, your featured publisher, featured web personality, like you guys. We would feature you guys. Like in our featured media people, we put up a thing, give you 2 pages, and you get to show your show. We do featured artist. He gets the cover, and then also 4 pages on the inside. We do veteran words of wisdom. We've had Pat Shand on there. We've had so many people. Eric Larson did a Q&A for us. The other magazine. We've got Friends. He's the guy that did the Black Suit Spider-Man. He's doing
Ron
some
Friends,
stuff. Yeah, Ron Friends. He's doing some stuff for us. So I mean, it's to promote everybody and raise them up. We give everybody equal chance, equal voice. We are non-denominational. It doesn't matter if you're Comicsgate, not Comicsgate, Republican, Democrat, black, white, yellow, brown, green, doesn't matter. Everybody gets a free shake and a fair chance in this book, and we don't gatekeep anyone.
And how are you guys seeking out contributors, or do people submit? How does that work?
It's overwhelmingly people that are just begging to get in it, basically, at this point. I mean, like, I have got featured artists lined up until freaking April. I'm actually thinking about putting a variant out, and just so we can get another artist in every month. It's insane. Like, everybody wants to be a part of this and submit articles, and I've got people emailing us all the time. Hey, can we submit an article? Can I write about this? Can I talk about this? I'm like, yeah, dude, I'll run it. You write it, I'll run it.
Does wait, so how many issues of Comics Illustrated are there so far then?
We started in October, so October, November, December's dropping. It's already done. It's at the printer right now. December's going to drop at the 1st of December, and then January is going to hit soon. And it's every month, month.
It's a month. Okay, and is it? Do people then subscribe, obviously, then, and then just get mailed?
Yeah, you can go to comicsillustrated.com and you can sign up for a subscription. You can do digital, you can do physical. We're only doing a limited number of physicals. We started out with 50. We bumped it up to 100. 100 was too much, so we're doing 75 of December. January will probably be another 75. We might bump February up to 100 again to test the water, see where it's at. But I mean, it's every month we're selling out. Every single month we're selling out of physicals, and it's crazy. Like, everybody wants it.
That's awesome.
There's digitals as well. You can do digital or physical.
And I'm getting comic shops that are contacting me saying, hey, can we put this in our shop? How can I get prices lowered? And I'm like, well, when I start printing more, my prices will go down. I'll be able to offer you deals and get you some stuff in your shop. And, it's a building process.
Let me ask you a question now, or go ahead, JP.
I was going to say, looks like the artwork, and I was just looking at it for Comic Illustrated, is very holiday, packed, I guess you'll say. So the artwork matches the time of year, so that's perfect.
Yeah,
I like the Thanksgiving one. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and a lot of people said, well, is it just going to be pinups? And I'm like, no, it's not going to be pinups. But that's what people draw. It's not my fault. I can't stop them from flexing their muscle on the cover. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. But like, I've got a dear friend of mine, Art, who's going to be doing. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm just showing off the cover in the background. This is the foil print of the November's cover.
Yeah, that we can do.
Cool, yeah.
The cover has the magazine titles. Looks like a magazine, but this is the foil. Sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Hang on real quick. Get this. I don't want to butcher.
Who drew that cover?
Keith Curtis. And it's been pretty cool to. So I'm the art director. Then I'd be, cultivating kind of the talent, and it's kind of like an one-on-one experience to do the featured artist thing. And Keith has been someone who I commissioned for art prints for Divinity before we had this open. We were doing a monthly art print before we came up with this idea, and I just noticed he had a lot of talent. So if I've learned anything in 10 years, it's all that knowledge I'm trying to impart on the next generation of people, so they don't have to go through necessarily all the crap that I had to, and I can help them really learn fast track what people didn't teach me. So I think that that's helping, and I had a really great experience with Keith, and I saw his art right away and went, he's got something. So it worked out well with Keith. And then the first month was Elsie Freitas, who's a Brazilian artist, and he's also very good.
He did
And
the
I really
October
enjoy
cover.
Elsie too. And
Yeah.
he did a witch.
And then in January, being that this isn't live, I can say it, but in January, we've got Keith Garvey from Zenoscope fame that's going to be doing the cover.
Very cool.
On February, we have Art Baltazar, who is a cartoonist. If you guys know who that is,
I've heard that name.
He is a very famous cartoonist, and he's going to be doing the cover for February. So I think that's going to throw the pinup style right out the window, because he's going to do some pretty crazy stuff on that cover. So
now, Mindy, one thing you mentioned is you were trying to help out, some of the artists and go through, help them navigate better than what you did. I don't know if either one of you have seen on Netflix, I think it's Netflix, the documentary on Dave Stevens. You guys watched that?
No, but that sounds familiar. No, but I haven't seen it. I think I've heard of it though.
You're familiar with Dave Stevens' artwork, I'm assuming. He does the pinup work, the Rocketeer. He's well known in the 80s. So. He's since passed away. Let me see if I have a comic closer I can show you. But what he mentioned in that documentary is that I'm drawing a blank here. Who drew Batman? Rohan, the 251, 227. Neil Adams, right?
Neil Adams.
Neil Adams was one of the well-known artists of that era, but he didn't give anyone the time of day if you didn't have the talent. And the only person he saw, and according to this documentary, he gave Dave Stevens the time of day because he had the talent, but he had no inclination to help anyone get to the level he was if they weren't already there. So the fact that you're already willing to do that, I think, says a lot about both of you.
Well, I knew Neil a long time, and I dealt with him on multiple occasions, and I have no problems saying that Neil is an asshole when it comes to dealing with other people. I'm comfortable in saying that, making rest in peace, but he was very, very much wrapped up into himself.
And that's what this said in that show. Here's a Dave Stevens work.
Oh, that's a good cover. Yeah, the name really rings a bell.
Dave passed away as well. He had cancer. He passed away, but he was well known. He had the curves he drew and the facial expressions. I mean, McFarlane was well known with how he drew his characters. Dave Stevens the same way, but in a different, without the hero type. I mean, even though he invented the Rocketeer, he knew how to draw the female figure in a different way than Adam Hughes. And probably this guy Stevens was the building block for Hughes and J. Scott Campbell and many others. So, but again, back to Neil Adams, he wasn't willing to help out, and I think that says a lot when you're willing to get people where they need to be at. So I think that's a great point. So
yeah, it's always good to try to help people that need it, and that's another thing we don't want to be doing is focusing on like all these old guys. I don't know how else to say it, but that's.
I'll be right back. By the way, I got a little 2-year-old. I got to help her with something, so it might be taking.
Like Chuck Dixon and Mike Barron and all these guys that are kind of like in the twilights of their careers or whatnot, I mean, will we let them do something in the magazine? Sure. But I mean, I don't want them to be the focus of stuff that's going on. Like, Brian Pulido and like all these guys who have made it, like they don't need the promotion. They've already got where they need to be, and the people that need the promotion and need the help, that need to get up there, they should take center stage in our magazine if at all possible.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's
Mike, I wanted to ask, you have a magazine, you have a comic book. Do you think one is easier than the other to make?
No, not really. Actually, I think the comic book's easier because I just write the script and I hand it off, and everybody else does the bullshit. But the magazine is definitely tougher for me because I have to stay on top of people and make sure people are turning stuff in and getting things done, and we're adhering to deadlines, and I have to have people on standby for backup in case those people drop the ball, which has already happened a couple of times. Like there's been some balls dropped and we've had to go another direction and put another article in its place. And it's a good thing that I've had those backups in place, because had I not, we would have been missing our print deadlines. And when you have people that are on a subscription model and they get charged at the first of the month, they're expecting their product to be delivered at the first of the month. And if you fuck up, you lose their trust and you no longer have a magazine.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of, and I was going to say, like, that would have been my guess, because on the comic book side, it's like it's you two working together, putting this, obviously you have some outside help with getting it printed and things like that, but otherwise
lettering and coloring and stuff like that.
The magazine is a culmination of several people that are, quote unquote, out of your control. And,
it's like herding cats.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's a phrase I use a lot.
It's like herding cats. But we've managed to be able to do it. I'm proud that we have been able to do it, and I'm happy that everybody is getting what they are expecting out of it. We haven't really had many complaints. There's been the occasional person who has said, well, it's not proofread well, and there's grammar and spelling mistakes sometimes. Like, well, we're the only ones freaking doing it, so feel free to help out,
That's my bad. I have to say it's an intense project to take on 64 pages editing by myself in a short time frame. So, but
magazine.
It's but I think we've done well for what we've been given.
And it seems like you have the content for the comic book because it's based on all these stories you have, whereas the magazine is going to be more up to date content, right, with what's going on now. So harder to write that, without, you can have a backlog of stories based on a bunch of idiots you run into, but the magazine's more up to date, like I said, so that needs to be more with up to date content, so that's harder to do.
It's
a different
tough.
animal.
It's tough.
I used to work for a newspaper though, and I was a marketing director when I met Mike, and I've been involved in that sort of world for many years, so that helps. That experience really helps.
Oh yeah, because most people will not know how to draw a comic book in regard to the panels and the writing of it, and then to get into a magazine and how to get that framed up and done that would take people forever. It's like learning to build a house. Where's the foundation, pouring the concrete, all that kind of different things. So the fact you have the background probably, like you said, helps you navigate faster, and then you can help others.
Yeah, and I mean, like, if you open it up and look at it, that shit is pro, man. That shit is laid out so clean. It looks like Wizard. It does. It looks pro. It is slick.
It looks like there's not many I went to the site and there's a couple particular, I think, comics I wanted. I think it was Boobs #1 with the 3 girls on the cover, or 4 girls on the cover with the beer can or beer glass. And then the illustrated one, those were all sold out too. So on the website, there was like 15 to choose from. And that was basically, looks like a lot of them are selling out pretty fast. So I don't know if you guys have a backlog hidden for, for future purchases, but there's some definitely good ones in there that I didn't think were available.
Yeah, well, they're on 2 different sites. The Boobs stuff is on divinitycomics.com, and the magazine is on comicsillustrated.com. So they're 2 separate.
Illustrated. That's why I didn't see them. I was like, oh, where's all the
all the Boobs stuff is on divinitycomics.com.
All right.
Yeah, and you'll find those there. And once the magazine sells out, it's not going to be printed again. I mean, we'll be able to, because we want to hold that collectability for those people that got in early and started to help us out. And that's why another reason why we made it comic book size is so we can do exclusive stuff with it. We can have it slabbed without having to go to CGC and say, hey, make us a specific card holder for this, and or do it magazine size or whatever, which costs more money. People can send their stuff to CGC if they want it signed. If they get a bunch of people that have created stuff in it, they want to get it signed up by all the people that are in the magazine. They're more than willing to do that. Get it slabbed, and we're going to start doing metal covers. We just made the switch in December to square bound, so it's not going to be stapled anymore. It's going to be square bound, just like Wizard was, and it's still going to be comic size.
Let me ask you a question, actually, since you mentioned them, CGC. Like, one thing I've always kind of been curious about is, people send in books from all over the world to CGC, and, they end up having a label that says what it is, when it came out, blah, 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 all this information. Do you guys, as the creators, have to, like, submit to CGC, like, what your stuff is, so that when someone sends in one of your books, they have that information? Or how does that process work?
Well, I mean, in the inside of the book, you put all of your information in there, so when they open it up, that information is readily available.
Oh, okay.
If you don't do that, then that would present a problem, I would think. But yeah, I mean, like, you put like who it's published through, who's in it, who wrote it, who the editor-in-chief is, stuff like that. That's all in there. That's just like any other standard book. But like, if you didn't do that, there would be a problem.
Okay. I wanted to kind of take it back a little bit to the just creative side of things. Mike, you're a writer. Mindy, you're the artist. Do you guys have a specific, like, creative process or flow, like from 8 to 12 every day Mindy's drawing, or what does your processes look like to create new material?
Well, she does all the work, like, all the time. I don't do shit. I will write a script in an hour and a half, hand it to her. She'll tell me how much it sucks. She'll go and she'll do some rewrites, and then she'll draw it all out. And she'll spend the next 3 months on it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yep.
I don't do anything. Like, my job's easy. I don't do shit when it comes to the comic book stuff. Like, I don't do anything.
Which is why, he still has a job, and then usually I stay at home, and I've been homeschooling our kids for many years, so I'm at home anyways. Although I have worked, but for the past couple of years I've been at home. And it's easy enough where I just draw while they're here and I can still get everything done. But drawing interiors is a lot of drawing. It's a lot of work. It's 8 to 10 hours a day. And I've been doing that schedule for 6-7 months now. Yeah. And when my baby was born, I was like drawing late at night after everyone went to sleep, the first issue of Boobs, like into the wee hours to try to finish it. It was hard to find the time with a new baby, but now it's like a job. Like,
are you drawing like traditionally, or are you doing digital?
Digital for the interiors. And then I did 56 cover sketches for Boobs 1. So there was a period there where for several weeks it was just all traditional, where I was just doing commissions from the campaign. But the interiors is way faster to do digitally. I found that out, and I made the transition actually in about 2021 to digital for that. And I color it and draw it myself at the same time, kind of. So it goes a lot faster. I don't know how else I would do it if I didn't do it digitally, to be able to draw and color it all myself. That's the only way I would ever recommend someone doing what I do, is digital.
Yeah. We'll talk to us about the new comic coming out, Trip Story.
Ooh, that one's good. All right, so it's basically a Toy Story parody, and you've got an old, broke down, beat up toy that I guess you could say used to be a Buzz Lightyear toy. He's now Buds Lightyear, Buds, and there's this, Goodwill that this kid goes and he finds him at this Goodwill. We call it the bin place. It's actually a real place. It's in Gary, Indiana, and it's a place where, like, all of the Goodwills that have all their stuff that they don't sell, they bring it to this place and they dump all this crap into tubs and they charge you by the pound. Right. So they have all kinds of stuff in all of these troughs, and it's like trash digging on crack is basically what this place is.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
I just got to throw that out there.
We took pictures of it, like, wouldn't it be cool if, like, a kid found a toy, and I just started coming up with the story, and I was like, yeah, this would be good. So this kid, he takes this Buzz Lightyear toy home. He goes up into his room and he lights a joint. And the whole time he's all playing with the Buzz Lightyear toy, and he sets him up on the shelf. And on the shelf is this old WWE action figure, Matt Riddle. And as soon as the kid leaves, well, the toys come to life, and the joint is still burning. So all the toys partake in the exhibition and smoke out the whole room, and it's just a grand old adventure. And at the end of the book, they meet Ozzy. So the next book's going to be about heroin, which is going to be really fun.
I promise we don't actually do drugs ourselves. It's just a really funny concept.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, you were already talking about Mindy drawing 8 to 10 hours a day. How do you have the time to fit in another comic book?
Well, this wasn't
that one
drawn
we
by her.
hired out. Yeah,
Oh,
that
this
one
one's
we
not.
hired out. Boobs 1 did really, really well on Kickstarter. And so that gave us the extra funds to pay for Trip Story. So not every book will I be able to do that. That's true.
Mhm.
It's very true.
I should say that due to the time constraint, and you talked about how you made the switch from just cover art to sequential art, do you think you'll always remain a sequential artist, or do you think you'll go back to covers? Or
Well, I do both now, it's handy to be a cover artist for sure. And it saves me a lot of money to do the work myself. And I really like sequentials. It's that whole filmmaker passion, and I don't want to stop. I know Mike and you and I have talked about me stepping off sequentials, but I don't think I will ever want to quit sequentials. It'll be however many projects at a time, little or a lot, I don't know, but I know it's something I want to continue doing because it's now I've started. I want to get better at it, and better and better, and that's what art is. It's always like an improvement process. So this is just the beginning. Now 10 years into it, but still just the beginning.
is Trip Story published under Divinity Comics as well?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so then my question was going to be, for the future, I mean, let's just say, do you guys want to have more titles under Divinity Comics, or are you good with
Tons.
So-
There's gonna be tons. I've got scripts sitting around for probably about 9 more titles.
Okay, and
Probably
so
more than that. Yeah, we come up with a lot of ideas. Sorry to interrupt. It's
No,
just
no, go for
that's
it.
one thing I keep meaning to add it, and then we keep missing the mark. But when we first met, we were talking about Sumchai and laughing about Mike's old buddy that he knew, and Sumchai is the supporting character in Boobs. So it's kind of like coming full circle to what we found funny in our relationship when we first met before we were married. And that chemistry of the ideas is still really strong. So we can think up ideas for days. It's just a matter of execution. But we probably have more like 20 ideas, Mike, that we could put into books right now.
So when you have more titles, are all the titles intended to be your guys's kind of brainchild, and then you may hire out the art or whatever? Or are you guys open to, like, JP's like, I've got an idea for a comic, I should pitch it to Mike and Mindy?
We are definitely open to people publishing underneath us. That's something that I really want to open the doors to within probably by the end of 2024 is start bringing on people and, working out something. I need to go to a lawyer and I need to come up with a good contract that, has creator rights as the forefront. And once I get all that stuff nailed down and we get it, what we need percentage wise and what you guys feel comfortable percentage wise, then, we can talk about that stuff.
Got it.
Yeah,
I wasn't saying JP has an idea. I was just using that as a hypothetical.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not. I put you as in everyone.
Totally.
Yeah. We started putting our feelers into the water too. We put a writing contest, and that was a couple months ago, and it ends at the end of the year. We threw out 3 conceptual pieces of art of characters, and we have taken submissions. There's probably about 25 writing submissions we have right now. Based on that. So we are putting our feelers out there for hiring writers. And we've already hired several artists too.
Very cool. How do you guys market yourselves? Like, are you is it social media?
God, I try not to.
You try not to.
I try not to. That's kind of my fun thing because I come from a marketing background. So I love to market. I love marketing, and it's a lot about being really personable with your person. Did I say that right? Yeah.
Personal, yeah.
Individual conversations. You know, a lot of leads come from just interactions. Even spanning the 10 years, and just providing a really good product, and then just putting yourself out there. I mean, that's some people. I say that it sounds simple, but some people are afraid to do just even those things. You know, it's hard for them to put themselves out there. It's hard for them to come up with a product with a package on it. It's hard for them to converse with many people. But these are all things that I enjoy doing, and I have been doing for many years. So it's just like easy for me to do that.
No, I
It's
mean
a behavior thing.
that's totally
Thank you.
true. Like, I mean, you know, we have this podcast, and you know, we'll invite anyone that is into this hobby to just come on and talk with. So we you know, creators like you to just regular collectors, and you know, there are people that I've asked of anywhere in that spectrum, and they're like, yeah, you know, I don't want to going out and put myself on camera and all this. It's not my thing. I'm like, okay, no worries. But like you said, like
Mhm.
putting yourself out there, it's a good thing. Are you guys doing? Or Mike,
Mhm.
you showing us something here?
That's a statue of our villain, Gaylord von Schlauber.
Oh,
He's fantastic.
He got high heels on.
He's the most fabulous villain that has ever
And he's
walked
got
the earth.
fishnets.
Fabulous. Fabulous.
yeah.
He's a
He's my
fabulous.
favorite character.
Do you guys do the con circuit at all then?
Not anymore, but we want to get back into it, don't we, Mike?
Yeah, you know, eventually. I'd say
Yeah.
eventually we'll probably end up doing definitely C2E2 is probably a go for us. Northwest Indiana Comic Con, maybe probably Indianapolis. I don't really
Where
want
you
to go
guys
too far. We live in the Chicago area.
Okay. I was just in India about a week ago. So
Yeah,
That's
we're
nice.
about 2.5 hours north. We're like I could throw a rock out my window right here and hit Lake Michigan.
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
We've traveled all over the country, and I have to say we kind of almost burnt out on it a little bit.
I
Like we
imagine
did
it's
try.
exhausting.
Yeah, and we've had 2 more kids since we were doing it really full time, and then we were truck drivers for a while. So we have traveled. We've
Oh
traveled a
wow.
lot, and the last con we did, we tried like a little show in Iowa. We got there and there was no air conditioning and there was no elevators, so we had to carry everything. And by that time with 3 kids, we were like, we're gonna go to big shows from now on. Big shows. Big shows. and that's
And
it,
we
you know.
love
So
stretch goals too. We're like real big fans of stretch goals and tchotchkes. One of my proudest tchotchkes that I've ever done, especially, was for the Boobs 2 campaign. And it is the most comfortable neck pillow that you
oh
have
my
ever
god. I don't know if
seen.
you could show that. It's a boob pillow. Just a warning. Just a warning.
It's pretty comfy.
Oh,
You put it right
Mike,
back
put it
here on your
away.
neck. You know, you're good.
Do you take that on? You take that on the airplane with you?
Yeah, definitely. It is FFA approved.
Yeah.
We've done San Diego. I will say that that's a show we probably will do again one day, but it's a very difficult show. Yeah, that's
I
a
bet.
hard one. But I'd like to go there one day
Dude,
sparingly.
it's 5 days of hell. I don't
It's
want to do
really
it.
hard. I was there
Yeah.
as an artist twice, and that's where I talked to Marvel for their portfolio reveal thing that they were
The
doing. And
never-ending Marvel interview. That's fun.
yeah. Yeah, their booth in the middle, you know, it actually like opens up, like you go inside and it's like a meeting room.
We've never been, but I, you know, so yeah,
Mm,
one
it's
day we
big.
do hope to go. Yeah, I mean, I've heard.
But you're saying they have a meeting room, so you go back there and then they interview the artists right there that come in, or people that are already people who are already supposed to be there. They're interviewing, or do they just somebody random who shows them a picture they'll bring to the back maybe, or is it always set on
It's a
you know
structured
professional?
thing. So they had I don't know if they do it every year, but I think they did do it every year for a while. And then they stopped, like they pulled out. Then, like I said, the rates changed. They were outsourcing and all that. But they would have a portfolio review, and you would submit your portfolio during the show, and then they pick out of all the submissions from San Diego, I think 10 people, and then they would bring you to the back or into their thing, and they would go through your portfolio and review it for you. And they also sometimes do it on panels. I don't know how the extent of all their operations, but I know that's what I did. And I went into the little dome and sat with their talent manager for a little bit.
But
And
so
then
you were one
after
of the
that,
10 picked. You were one of the 10 picked. Very
mhm,
cool.
That's awesome.
that was in 2015, maybe 2015 or 2016. And then it was kind of disappointing, though, I'm gonna be honest, because they they give you like a list after that as a follow-up of, hey, submit these pieces in, and then we will continue this sort of like long interview process. But I didn't have the time to go down and make, like 10 new pieces. I was kind of like, well, I've done 50. If you like it, hire me. If not, I don't have time. I'm so sorry. And then they changed their talent manager, and then I ran into another artist who was really awesome, and he goes, "Oh yeah, you got put in the Never Ending Marvel interview." And I think at that time they were doing a hiring freeze. So it really was like this never ending interview where, like you'd submit pieces and then they wouldn't hire. So then I just kind of gave up, honestly. I just stopped caring.
So when
Well,
Moved on.
earlier when we started talking, you were talking about how instead of trying to do that, you would have just, if you were to rewrite your history, you would have just started on with the self creation right out the gate, not wasted your time with things like this.
I would have, but and what Mike said, though, the double-edged sword there is that as an artist, if you go and you do things that are so obscure, you better have a really good product. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult to live off of doing art, because people, if you go to a show, people go by and they buy fan art. They don't buy original character art.
Mhm.
So yes, I agree with Mike that we would have been way farther ahead if we would have stuck with our own creations. But at the same time, it's almost a necessity if you were to go at least the route we did to do fan art, because I don't know how you could pay your bills. I tried doing a couple of original things and they just don't sell because no one buys it. So that'd be really hard to do, but I do agree we should have come out with our own product a long time ago.
now when you say fan art, there's a couple comics I found on eBay that are essentially, it's like Mary Jane Watson and Black Cat seductively drawn on a cover. And so is that considered fan art, like that particular type? Not seductive, but I just mean
I think,
taking a particular character and putting your own spin to it.
yeah, I think
Yes,
that's what you're saying. Like
that's why
you're
people
trying,
do it.
yeah,
Yeah, that's why people do it. And I didn't really see that come out until the last couple of years. People started doing that. And I know why. It's because the industry was going through such a bout and it was hard for people, plus COVID. So the shows shut down. And I think that's when we really started to see a boom of these other parody IPs where they basically are, um, you know, very seductive Marvel DC characters up on Kickstarter and stuff like that, because it's an easy sell, and then people put parody on it. But before there were those comic books, people were just doing it in fan art. I really didn't see them on covers like that, and I'm surprised they get away with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, up until just the past couple years. And that's,
So if
yeah,
it
that's
says
exactly why they do it. It's because it's easy to sell. It's much easier to sell than an
and if
original
it says
character.
parody on it, they can sell without any copyright or infringement there. If it says parody.
It depends. I think they really skirt the line. I've seen some stuff that I really have even publicly disagreed with, where they are using the straight up celebrity's face. There was a particular cover got me in some heated waters on Facebook with the retailer over it, but it was Margaret Robbie's face dressed up as Barbie on the cover, shoving her chest on the cover. And to me, if you read into celebrity likeness laws, that's a total violation. You're supposed to put your own spin on it in order for it to qualify as a parody, and to get out of those separate. It doesn't Parody doesn't cover celebrity likeness laws. That's a separate thing that you're also not supposed to do. So it's really about how much transformation you put into it to make it an actual parody. If you're not transforming it, then there is an issue. So it has to be transformative. And the other legality of it is that people need to be able to look at it and say, oh, this is not from DC and Marvel. If it is easily confused with their own product, that's where you get into really shaky waters. So there's a lot of things I don't think should have legally,
For
happened
example,
in the
on
past couple of
Boobs,
years.
there is a cover that we did an homage of. It was an ASM 300 cover, and on there is our original character, Amphibious Robot. Now, if you look into the parody laws and you take Amphibious Robot and you compare it up to Cyberfrog, and you look at Cyberfrog, like, in order for there to be a violation there, EVS would have to go up in front of a judge and say, Your Honor, this transgender frog wearing high heels is completely indistinguishable from my frog.
I was going to say, I don't think that frog has high heels, right? The other one. So that's where you
Frog
make
does.
Yeah.
So,
Our frog is. Yeah.
so if he's half woman and wearing high heels with fishnets, that is substantially more than 50% transformative by definition. Do you see?
Hey,
I see.
This would make a great episode of Judge Judy, probably.
Yes. So he would actually have to be like, Your Honor, this gay, weird sex robot transgender frog is completely indistinguishable from my character, Cyberfrog.
Yes,
and have to say it with a straight face.
There's 49 iterations of the word boobs on that cover too. That's what's so beautiful about the title Boobs too, is because you can obviously look at it and be like, that is silly. That is not real. So I think we've done a good job at fitting legally in the parody laws. So it's not about the cash grab for us. We actually enjoy making the books.
Now the other cover it looks like Milky Alex or the Milky
the Alex Jones variant. You know why it's called the Alex Jones variant?
Why?
Because he's turning the frogs gay.
Yes. Our book is really ridiculous. I'm sorry. You asked for the interview.
This is definitely post-code. They say call it pre-code horror. What this one is showing, I'm not sure what's coming out the one end of the frog, cybernetic frog here, but
that's hydraulic fluid. Calm down. Get your mind out of the gutter.
I was looking at that. I was like, wait a minute, where? And I look, and then there's like an IV tube up at the top here or something, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. But yeah, interesting.
It's the Milky edition.
It's with the story, yes,
it's very milky.
Mindy, I have to ask real quick, as you describe these stories and these books that you're making, you've been laughing the whole time. When you're at home drawing, are you just cracking up yourself the whole time?
I will hear her like in the other room, just like bust out in laughter when she's like drawing. Like, you should have heard how hard she was laughing when she did this one panel where she put a button on the frog's ass that you have to pop, and the sound effect that it makes, it goes pop.
I'm sorry. Yes, I am. I am laughing all the time. That's why I enjoy
Are your kids ever like, Mommy, what's going on?
Well, our 14-year-old thinks we're kind of weird, but
well, actually, okay, that's actually a good point. Your oldest is 14.
Yeah.
So you have a teenager when he or she, I don't know how when he's going to school.
Well, he's homeschooled, so he doesn't have to worry
about that. Okay, that's right. Yeah. I totally forgot about that. Okay, so as they say, like, does this stuff kind of come up? And okay, yeah.
The way I explain it is, which is totally accurate, is that we make a book about really ridiculous, silly people. It makes fun of all the silly things about people that don't make sense, and that covers it, and so they don't know all the details, but yeah, they hear us laughing and they know that we're laughing about the book.
Are your kids into comics?
Well, my daughter really likes to draw. In fact, she'll probably take my place as
that was
an
my
artist.
next question. Is the dream to like bring them into the business?
if it works, if it's lucrative for them and they make a living off of it, then I would absolutely encourage it, because now I do. I make a living off of it, so I don't see any reason why our kids can't. And I know how it is to be a little girl who loves to draw, and she's just like me. So yeah, absolutely for her.
Yeah,
The others, if they want to, I guess.
but do they like collect comics on their own outside of this at all or anything? Like, are
Oh,
they interested?
I don't,
not really, no.
what do you
Mm.
not it's hard we don't really go to comic shops. But I mean, our oldest, he does read them. We do, Mike, we go to the library. He's caught me up on all the Batman stories and stuff.
Okay, but
So
does
he
he
does
read
like
your,
them.
does he read
He
your
gets the
comic then?
trade paperbacks and stuff, like he gets the omnibuses and trade paperbacks. He doesn't really do individual issues.
Got it. Okay,
Yeah.
but what I was gonna ask is then, does he read your guys' material then?
No, ours is for adults only.
Okay.
But there's other books, and homeschooling our kids, we have all written stories together before. So I kind of imagine that one day maybe we'll start putting those into comics just as a fun family thing. Why not?
Yeah. Does your homeschooling then emphasize the creative aspects?
Oh yeah, sure, sure. Yeah, I've been really busy the past few months, so I haven't done too many projects with them, but there have been periods of time where I've really gone into the homeschool heavy with crafts and projects, and homeschooling is awesome. It's definitely a whole other world, and yes, I definitely encourage the creativity.
I don't understand how you have the time to do that and all the art you have to put together. So
Well, the thing about homeschool is that it's so one-on-one. And then you'll find that the more you do it, the more it seems like public school is a whole lot of hours of just nothing. And so kindergarten and first grade is really only about 20 minutes a day.
oh.
That's really all about it, that what it takes, and that's verified through many, many sources. And ninth grade, that's about where I'm at with my oldest. It's about 3 hours a day.
Oh, okay. So
So
you do have some time to get to work then. Got it.
mhm.
A lot of families
Especially
I
if I'm
know.
like go ahead.
Sorry, I cut out there, but I was going to say a lot of families I know, they're doing a lot of traveling and doing stuff with their kids that are because they have the free time, because there's a lot of build up downtime in school for no reason, what you just said. So 20 minutes
I'm
to
really not a fan
3 hours.
of the public school. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
It's a lot of well, I first came about it because my son was in kindergarten and I didn't intend to homeschool, and there was a lot of issues. Like I started to notice that homework coming back was the same exact homework and other weird things that I just started to investigate. And then I got like discipline reports like, oh, your son's not paying attention in class. So I said, all right, I'm going to go check it out. And then I went in the morning to volunteer, and there were like 30 5-year-olds and one teacher, and it was absolute chaos. And for like the first 40 minutes, she was just trying to get them to sit down. And I realized the problem right then and there. And they said, "Oh, your son, he's having a hard time paying attention." I was like, "Well, no, yeah, no kidding. There's nothing for him to pay attention to. There's nothing here." And they said he does really well on the computers. I said, "Well, that's great. Can you guys go take him to the computers?" And they said, "No, we can't. We got to sit here and tell everybody to sit down instead." So it was just, and it's been a rabbit hole since then of like discovering how much the
Yeah.
education system has really unraveled. And it was the best choice I ever made. I took him out of school,
All this
and here we are.
theory crap in school and all this crap, and I'm like, dude, no,
Yeah.
not.
They've
It's
changed.
not gonna happen. Right? I don't want to go to jail, and that's where it is. And
So the school system, they've taken away pretty much all written homework. That's where we're at now. And you have to sign a social media release to use the program. That I've tried. See, I've tried public school a couple times since then, trying to give it the benefit of the doubt. And every time I've had to pull out. And the last time, that was one of the reasons. It was you have to sign a social media release. The program where all the curriculum is basically like Facebook. It's called Instagram for Schools. You go in there and you like and comment on videos. The kids are on tablets 8 hours a day with no supervision on full access to YouTube and Gmail,
Really?
sending each other Gmail. And I said, "Can he do written homework?" And she goes, "Oh, I don't know how to do that," the teacher. So there's no written homework, no pencils. And given the rates of teenage depression, linked to the use of social media. I don't see how that's like even happening, but the big tech has really invested in the school system, so they've gotten rid of all textbooks. And then, sorry, my little rant is almost over. I refused the social media release, and the teacher had my son do it anyway and said, "We're just not going to tell your mom."
Nice.
Yeah.
That
That's
was
very
it. That was last time.
Yep. very unfortunate, but I feel like we should probably we can all go down a rabbit hole here that we should probably
Yes, I'm sorry.
steer back a little bit back towards the no
Steer back to boobs.
yeah.
Steer back to boobs.
No, nothing to apologize for, but
No.
yeah. But this has
The
been
world
great.
we live in.
Yeah,
It's the world we live in.
it's a crazy world, and hey,
Exactly.
you do what works best for your family, and if it's successful, and it's working for you guys, more power to you. That's we'll leave it at that. But yeah, kind of coming back to the comics, so kind of just tell everybody again. You said issue 2 is in the works. When does that come out? The next issue of the magazine, and then when does like Trip Story come out? Like, kind of give us the upcoming timeline.
I can do
You
that.
want to do it next? Should I?
Yeah. Trip. Actually, Boobs 2, we're going to be hitting fulfillment within next week. It's already at the printer. It's going to come back. We're going to send it out. The campaign's over for that. The next issue of Comics Illustrated drops in December, on December 1st. And then the next one after that will be January 1st. We're hitting monthly on those. We have a winter special that we're going to be doing a Kickstarter for. That's going to launch on the 30th. It'll run probably 21 days. I'm not going to do a full month on it. Only going to do 3 weeks. And get that out the door. And then as soon as that's done, the same day that's done, I will launch Trip Story on Kickstarter.
Do you have to do a Kickstarter campaign for every issue?
For every issue of what?
Of like Boobs, for instance.
I don't have to, but I mean, why not?
I'm familiar with the process, so I'm just curious asking.
Yeah, we've been
Crowdfunding
doing
is awesome.
it. Yeah, I mean,
I would recommend crowdfunding for creative works. For Comics Illustrated, it doesn't really make much sense unless it's like what we're doing, a quarterly special, because it comes out once a month. So that would be really kind of difficult to plan a campaign, and then that's craziness. And so we don't need to. But for the quarterly specials, it's a good idea. That way we can raise some money. We want to send them out to comic shops with the extra profit we make, however much that may be on the winter special campaign. But for Boobs, absolutely. I would recommend crowdfunding for any creator. I was kind of against it for a long time, but it's awesome. And I've met so many new people on that platform that
why were you against it to start?
It was just so weird. I supported other people doing it, but for me, I just wasn't really sure. I don't know. It was kind of weird to go direct to customer. It kind of sounded like asking for money, and I don't really do that. So it was, I don't know, there was just a lot of kind of weird feelings I had about it to feel it out. And also a lot of indie creators from about 2018 to 2020 didn't fulfill on their campaigns. And so it got a really bad reputation on top of that. And I just stayed away from it all and just observed for a while. Plus my marketing, Mindy came out in me, and I was like, I'm gonna watch, and then I'm gonna wait till I'm ready to have a really good product and really press go. And that's what I did. And then it was a huge success. So I'm glad I did that. But it did have a bad reputation for a while. And there still is that kind of bad air where it's really important you fulfill. It's really important you have a good track record. And we've done that. So
that's
I
why
can't say the same for every indie guy. Yeah.
Every single book that we come out with is 100% done by the time we put it on Kickstarter. That's a rule that we have. If we're going to do the Kickstarter stuff, the book's got to be finished before we launch.
When you say finished, that means like
done,
not printed though.
Ready to go to print.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
well, in this case, I did. Oh, go ahead. I did pay for lettering. Sorry, on Boobs too. That's a week process, but that's the only thing I would do is lettering. The art has to be done. And the script.
So if you crowdfund, or let's say I'm part of the crowdfunding, do I get a copy of the magazine, or what do they get if they give? They can give 100,000, they can give whatever they want, and is there something specific they get, or do they get? I'm not familiar with crowdfunding, so you don't have to school me in the whole part of it, but just in your experience, what is somebody getting if they're part of that?
Well, it's built out to all kinds of different products. So, and that was something I spent time studying before I did it myself. So everyone just does what they want to do. You go in there and you build a product. You could do one cover of the book, sell it for $5 or $20 or whatever. And then people come and they buy that physical copy. Or what I did was I had several variants, and that's pretty common for the comic category of Kickstarter. And you do different variant covers. Some of them are limited. Maybe they're from a special artist or so on and so forth. But you just go through just like a shopping website, and someone like me would go out and build it out and build out all the rewards, they're called, and the different add-ons, things you can add onto it in your shopping cart, basically.
So it'd
So
be
it's
like
whatever you want.
So it'd be like,
Mhm.
let's just say a $5 level funding would be like the comic, and then maybe a $50 would be like, oh, this is a 1 in 50 variant, and then kind of like that. Is that kind of what we're looking at?
Yeah, exactly.
Well-
And I had all kinds of tiers on both the campaigns. So, like, you probably aren't familiar with the boob pillow. I apologize, but
We are
like,
now.
you
We are
put-
now.
Yeah, we are now.
you can put, like, we had all kinds of fun. We did
Yeah,
little statues. We
What,
did the
35
pillows.
bucks? You got the pillow, you got a figure, and you got the comic.
Yeah, that was a whole package deal. And then we've given t-shirts, we did beanies. I did sketch tiers, and those were probably the hottest thing out of the Boobs One campaign. I sold 56 of those. So they would get a comic, and then they would get a blank with a sketch on it or a sketch card. So yeah, just all kinds of different packages, which again I really like doing, so because I come from marketing and packaging and stuff. So that's
So
really
I'm
fun for
looking
me.
Boobs 2, there's a blank sketch cover, so you can pre-sale that one. Correct. So you'll sketch that one. So it says $15, but what does it cost to get the sketch on it?
It depends. Well, it depends on what kind of sketch you want, but honestly, I've closed commissions for now. I forget what I priced them. I think they were 100 on the excuse me, on the Boobs 2 campaign. But for the Boobs 1 campaign, I did a special where it's $50 for the comic, and then it was a sketch on the sketch card. And then I upped it to 100 after being totally slammed. And yeah, that would be for the book and for a full color comic sketch for that.
So
That's what
Except
I
I'm
was
not
gonna say. Is
taking
there
them
like,
anymore.
that's what I was gonna say. Is
Too
there like
many.
a different level, like $100 is a sketch, and then $150 is an inked sketch, and then $300 is a colored sketch, or something like that?
Right. Except 100 would be the full color. A sketch with less than that would be like 60. That's usually with the con rate. And with that, you're getting a $15 book too. With a second print with the Boobs too, I'd say more like a $20 value in book. It's just depending on how much that book goes for and how difficult the sketch is. But yeah, that's generally my tier. I still go on Whatnot sometimes and I'll sketch. But I have to close my commissions because I'm just too busy right now.
Wait, you go on Whatnot and like live sketch and then like auction it off? Oh, cool.
Mhm. Yeah, or people will buy it right there as I sketch, or they'll buy a commission slot, and then I'll sketch whatever they want there. Done that. Yeah,
Oh,
oh, nice.
I do all kinds of live sketching. I have for a long time.
cool. Very cool.
I gotta now the Boobs 2, the cover B glam shot, where it says naughty over top. When you get the book, is that naughty no longer there, or is that
That's
just
correct.
Correct.
You
Okay.
get the full goods when you get the book.
Okay, just checking. That's
That's probably the most
$5 more
popular
to make
cover.
sure.
Yes, people were wondering if it said
You know,
censored on the first one because I put censored, but
I
no, the naughty and nice
I want to be one of
versions
those
are very
guys that
popular.
put all the naked stuff on our website in case some kid happens to wander by the website and stuff. I don't want some parent getting pissed off saying, "Oh, you let my kids see all this crap," and I wouldn't want my kids to see it. So we kind of put those there,
You got
Yeah.
kids you
Yeah.
care, and that's good. No, I just was curious, but that's a better way to be. You never know who's gone the site. So
Yeah.
Mhm. That's
Now,
a
there's-
pretty niche Kickstarter thing. There's a very big Kickstarter market for that kind of stuff. So
on this page though, on Definity Comics, those ones I was talking about with the beer glass, that is not on here. So unless I'm missing it, that must be one that's out of print now because you guys sold out of it.
I'll send you the link. It's
That's from Boobs 1. You have to go. There's 2 different sections on the website. If you go click on Boobs, you'll see Boobs 1 and Boobs 2. Go to Boobs 1.
there you go. That's the mega pint variant.
It's there, and we still have some of those.
I sent the link in the private chat. There you go.
Okay. I just
Yep.
clicked it. All
Well,
right, there
right.
it is. Yep.
Real quick before we wrap up here, why don't you just tell everybody where to find you, the Instagrams, all that stuff, just if they want to, how to to link, where do they go to if they want to do the crowdfunding, kind of give us the rundown, and we'll wrap up from there.
Well, I guess I'll take this one, Mike. That's where we put all of our back issues is on divinitycomics.com for Boobs 1, Boobs 2, Trip Story, all the fictional titles. And then Comics Illustrated is on comicsillustrated.com. So that's really simple. That's where you can buy the subscription and the physical and digitals. And besides that, we are on pretty much every social media platform, the basic Facebook, Instagram, what's the other one? Twitter. I think I'm most active through my art accounts, but you can find Divinity Comics there, and Comics Illustrated. And then we will post whenever we do Kickstarters, which is that winter special one is coming up, and you can find us there whenever we're doing something there. We'll post a lot about it. It'll be fun.
And then you're going to be at the upcoming C2E2. Is that correct?
We've applied. I don't know if we're going to get in.
Got it.
Yeah,
We'll
we'll
see.
see.
Yeah.
Hopefully. With kids, it's hard to do the shows. And then also with the content of our books, we've had to wait till we've had more titles than just Boobs.
Yeah.
Because it's, you know what I mean? To have only that one book on the table and then only a couple of covers on top of that. So with Comics Illustrated being monthly, that opens a lot of doors for lots more content on the table. So yeah, it'll be next year, whenever that is, we start doing shows.
And I'm sure that show's not cheap, so you got to have a bunch of stuff to cover that table with. So that's
the cost.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Because if you only have a couple books, how are you going to make your table back? Exactly.
Yep.
Yep.
But no, I just want to say that your artwork. I haven't read the book yet, Mike, so I can't talk about the writing just yet. But the artwork definitely caught me. I am I like my Golden Age, Silver Age. Neil Adams, you got your Dave Stevens and Adam Hughes, and the artwork that they do is very definitive. You can tell, and I can tell your artwork. So it did catch my eye. So I will be ordering a few books here sooner or later.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
That's a very good compliment. Adam Hughes is one of my favorite, actually. So that's very cool.
When you can differentiate each artist and know, what their traits are in those pictures, and that's what differentiates better art. And there are great artists out there, but why you guys are doing so well is because the artwork, and I'm sure the writing too, Mike. So I don't want to bypass that. But
remember, Mike's like, he does nothing. He just does an hour and a half, and then boom, it's all.
I give all the credit to Mindy. Mindy does it all. Like someone said it the other day. She can draw her face off.
Yes, she can.
Thank you.
It's very enjoyable. So I did. This is very eye-catching, and I wish you guys the best of luck. And I can't see as far as you've gotten, you're going to go much further. So, but what do I know? I just know what I like when I see it. So, it's
and appreciate you guys coming on and just talking to us about the creating side of this hobby. So it's very cool to hear.
Oh.
Well, thanks for having us. And if you read Boobs, enjoy it. Don't forget to laugh, because it really is what it's like on this side of it, entering the comics realm. So you get a up close experience there, and we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Definitely. All right, everybody, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see everybody on the next episode. Peace out.
Peace out.